One of the oldest methods of transferring files on the Internet is through the File Transfer Protocol, or FTP. Red Hat Enterprise Linux uses the very secure FTP daemon as the default FTP server software. To set up an FTP server, we will first need to install the vsftpd application. Once we get the package installed, we can take a look at the default configuration file for the FTP server located at etc vsftpd vsftpd.conf. Here, we can see that by default, this server allows anonymous access, which means that anyone can access this FTP server without logging in to download files. By default, we are allowing users that are configured on the local system to use their local accounts to log in. We will demonstrate this shortly. Also by default, we are allowing write commands for the FTP service, meaning that people can create files and folders on the FTP server. Below this, we see some more directives relating to the anonymous users. The first one allows an anonymous user to upload files to the FTP server. This directive will only work if the above directive for allowing write commands on the FTP server is set. We will leave this directive commented out as we will not be allowing anonymous users to upload to our server. The next directive is allowing anonymous users to create directories on the FTP server. We won't allow this, but this is where you should configure that should you need to. Now let's go ahead and quit our FTP configuration file. Now we will set up our FTP server to start at boot time and start the FTP service. Next, we will need to open up the port for FTP in our firewall, which is port 21 with the TCP protocol. Now, let's verify our firewall port is open. And here we see that it is. Now, we're going to jump over to our other system and try and access our FTP server. We will use the lftp command to log into our FTP server. Let's list the contents of the user's home directory. When we log in as a regular user, we seem to have access. However, when we try and list the contents of the user's home directory, we are getting a login failed message. Why is that? Let's jump back to the FTP server to see what we can find out. We have already verified that the FTP service is running and the FTP port is open, so why can't our user log in? Let's take a look at the SC Linux audit logs. If we page up in our output, we can see that SC Linux has denied us access to the user's home directory. Remember before when we were discussing SC Linux booleans? Well, here is an instance where we need to set one. So according to the fix, we need to set the boolean to allow FTP access to the home directory. Now let's go back to our other system and try and run the ls command again. We can now list the contents of the directory. Let's upload a file to our remote home directory. We can use the put command to put a file on the FTP server. Then run an ls on the FTP server to verify that we uploaded the file. And we can see that we did indeed upload the sent up file. Now let's take a look at something else. If we do an ls on the root directory, we can see all of the system folders. There are security implications to this, since someone could copy down important system files. In our next video, we will show you how to prevent a user from accessing the rest of the FTP server's file system through the FTP connection.